I don't want to hear anybody talking about what somebody's father...
Oh, my God.
Looking at you, Tojo.
Oh,
How am I going to be able to include any
Number
of
3,
these?
whenever your mouth is open,
Always
and you talk to the
be
media,
closing.
always be... Oh, it's I thought it was selling. Always be
Selling, spelled with a
selling.
C.
Yes.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Idiots of F1, the show where 4 people, only 3 tonight, again, who love Formula One far more than they understand it, have a red-hot crack at breaking down everything on and off track in a way that makes you feel like you belong. And we've now been doing it for 4 years and still haven't got the hint. I'm Ollie, one of those idiots referred to in the name of the show, and joining me tonight after what has been genuinely the longest 4 weeks of our adult lives, 2 of my idiotic co-hosts. Evan, hello Evan, welcome back. It's been a little while since I've seen you. How are you, pal?
Doing well, doing well.
Good, I
Good to
like
be
your
here.
hat. And Tay, dialing in from America, just days out from the first of the American Grand Prix of 2026. How are you, mate? You've got your LA hat on. Yep.
He's
not
having,
your
he's
Miami
having a
hat.
good night. He just found out that the French gave the Americans the
you're an idiot.
Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's always an education lesson here, the idiots of F1. But Tay, yeah, is America hustling at the moment? I mean, other than like causing a few issues around the world, but yeah, what's the F1 vibe over in LA,
Over in LA.
wherever you are?
Yeah. Because I'm wearing that.
Yeah.
I think everyone's excited for it,
Okay.
you know?
Okay.
There you
Clearly,
go. There you
you
go.
can
What
tell.
a boring answer.
No, well, I mean, to be
Don't you
fair,
set
it's...
him off.
Yeah, I know, exactly. All right, fine. I'm not going to say anything.
Oh, you've already killed him. You've already ruined the momentum that he had. Look, unfortunately, Digby is an apology tonight. After 4 weeks break, I thought we may all have the band back together again, but he's finishing off his newest album. I promised he will be back next week. You all have the rights to hold him to that.
Well, he
The
promised.
awesome foursome, some would say, will be back together again soon. That would be a really awkward foursome. I mean, obviously, Tay, because you're my brother, but yeah, just anyways, right, let's move on from that very quickly. Over the last 4 weeks, while
I
we've
wasn't
been
thinking about it.
sitting here twiddling our thumbs and finger popping each other's assholes, there's been a bit of big news. Some boring bits of news, which we'll gloss over today, and mostly a really eerie sense of confusion and impatience as we endure what has definitely been longer. I want to say it's felt longer, but I actually think it's
felt
been longer
ages.
than the mid-season winter break. And it's only
Summer.
just after 3 race weekends, summer for those on the other side of the hemisphere. So we obviously had round 4 in Bahrain and round 5 in Saudi Arabia cancelled due to the international conflict. But boy, has it felt like a long time between drinks. But before we get into what's happened and what to expect as we ramp up for the return of Miami this weekend, let's remind you of where things were a few weeks ago. So come with us down memory lane, the beginning of April and the conclusion of round 3 in Japan. So the Japanese Grand Prix delivered a lot. That's where we landed. That's what we were happy with. But the question posed out of it was this, really. Is it the racing we all wanted? In recapping what happened, you will recall that Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli became the youngest championship leader in F1 history, who couldn't legally drink his own champagne to celebrate. Oscar Piastri finally started a race, and he nearly won it. George Russell pitted 1 lap before a safety car and lost his mind on the radio. Max Verstappen spent all race staring at Pierre Gasly's ass. He finished 8th, then he walked into the media pen and proceeded to tell the BBC that he's thinking about quitting the game altogether. And underneath all of that, Ollie Behrman's G crash caused by a mushroom boost, witnessed by the entire Mario Galaxy cast, mind you, one that finally forced the FIA's hand on the 26 regulations, which resulted in a suite of emergency meetings over the last couple of weeks and some recently announced changes, which we will get into shortly, amongst a number of other things. But here we are together. It is finally gloriously race week. So quick shape of tonight before we get into it. This one is slightly different because obviously we've been off for 4 weeks. We're going to open with our very own rear view review, which is usually put aside for going back and looking at races. This won't be obviously a full debrief, just some of the bigger stories from the break because, well, look, if we don't, we can't really talk about Miami properly. And after that, we're going to do our full grid walk and trash talk. We're going to preview Miami, the circuit, where the standings sit. Got a couple of key storylines that we want you guys to keep your eyes out for, and obviously our predictions, which we will go on the record. Then, of course, we are back with Huss. You've been paying attention. Miami race history, or actually US race history, mind you. There's a hint, boys. and obviously a bit about Miami culture, where Ev is currently blitzing that quiz 5-1. So Tay, obviously, Diggs, some concerns about how far ahead you're letting him get. And we're going to close with what's Verstappen in our own part in the interruption, where we're going to run through a number of quick fire stories from the break that don't fit the rest of the episode that will ensure you leave this podcast with no stone unturned. But first, as always, it is time for the Idiot Icebreakers. So for those new here, this is not a test of knowledge, but entirely a test of character. A scenario-based question for my fellow idiots. So I'm going to start with you, Ev, because you're patiently waiting to explode. You are the FIA's head of comms, and you are in charge of managing the recently announced changes, of which the specific details we will get into shortly. But you've been asked to brief the drivers on what they cannot say in response to these changes in public. What are the priority things they must never speak about publicly?
So let's say like 3 things.
Drivers. 3 things. What do you got? You got 3.
Number 1.
I like it.
Number one. I don't want to hear it. Max, I'm looking at you.
Oh, shit,
I know what you're
his
thinking.
father-in-law.
I know what you're thinking. All right. Number 2, with regards to the regulations, I don't want to hear anybody talking about what somebody's father.
Oh my God.
Looking at you, Toto.
Oh, what? How am I going to be able to include any of these?
Number 3. And this one's easy. Even Latifi can remember this one. It's the ABCs. Whenever your mouth is open,
always
you talk to the media.
Closing.
Always be. Oh, is it close? I thought it was selling. Always be
selling. Spelled with a C.
Yes. Always be. Whenever somebody asks you a question, just give them the boilerplate and say.
Just give them a Lewis Hamilton.
If you want to know what I mean, what I really think, you're going to have to buy the premium package on the app, and that's where my thoughts will be. Then that's it. That's it.
Very good. Right.
You ended it well, but
always
God,
be selling.
The first
always
2. Fucking hell, man.
And Tay, this weekend, Cadillac make their home race debut. They are, and I quote from every press release they have issued this year, an American team. Their driver, Sergio Perez, is from Mexico. Valtteri Bottas is from Finland. Their car is designed and built in Oxfordshire, UK. And their team principal is from New Jersey, which is also not in the UK. Obviously not to be mistaken for America's very own New Jersey, which is in the state of New York or down the road. I always get confused between New York City and New York State.
New York State is New York State that holds all them, and then New York City.
New Jersey is in New York? Yeah, cool. All right, there you go. All right. Tay, you have been asked to make Cadillac more American for the weekend. What are you doing?
Well, for most people, they don't know that the whole car is built elsewhere and that it's run by non-Americans. So let's keep it sweet and simple. Full American flag over the entire livery, even though it make it incredibly difficult to look at on TV. And if they can make it look cool, the camera can sort of be designed like a cowboy hat. And there's your stereotypical Canadian American looking thing.
I think you said, what did you say? Cadillacian?
I was trying to make Cadillac an American one word.
Got it. Do you know what else? Do you know what? The drivers should have to wear driving suits like Homelander from The Boys. Have you seen that? He's got the American flag as a cape.
Yes.
Yeah, and bald eagles. Okay, with all that said and done, with 4 weeks of pent-up Formula One, let's get into it. It's time for rear view review. So the catch-up. So there's a few stories here as I flagged. We're not going to do the full debrief. Japan got its full treatment last episode, but there are a few things that have happened over the last couple of weeks which we simply cannot walk into Miami without addressing. So let's kick things off with the elephant in the room, the reg changes. So we ended our last episode mostly with the conversation about what the FIA was going to do about the 26 regulations after Behrman's crash at Suzuka, and a consistent tirade of driver abuse and complaining that continued to make its way to the airwaves. The question that continued to pop up: are these regulations fundamentally broken or just needing adjustment? Well, the FIA has answered, sort of. After a series of meetings described by everyone involved as, quote, extremely collaborative, they've confirmed a set of changes ahead of this weekend's race in Miami. The somewhat brief was that qualifying needs to be more on the limit again and safety must be improved. The headlines out of the announcement: super clipping has been increased and harvesting in qualifying reduced. In idiot terms, these points really come down to adjustments to the energy management, on both the deployment and harvesting sides. Is that right, Ev? Before we go too much deeper, is that thereabouts the kind of key takeaways from these reg changes?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have done some digging for you to unearth the practical upshot of this. What is it, I hear you ask, lads? Well, with a drum roll, the cars are going to be even slower than they already were. Lol. Right. So before we laugh it all off, it's worth noting that there obviously is some logic to it. So the intention, my understanding, was to reduce the dangerous closing speed differentials we saw at the likes of Suzuka, the scenario where one car is in a harvesting phase and another is deploying flat out, and the gap between them closes at ridiculous speeds in a matter of meters. And that's obviously what sent Behrman into the barriers at 50G. And in rounding the changes out, from Miami onwards, the FIA are also set to test a so-called low power start detection system, which apparently is capable of identifying cars with really low accelerations shortly after the clutch release at the starting grid. And in such cases, apparently an automatic MGUK. MGUK is the engine, Ev? Or the computer in the engine?
It's the electric
management system.
Got it. Okay. Well, apparently that's going to automatically, it will trigger a deployment to ensure that at minimum there is a level of acceleration to mitigate what a lot of the, I guess, the team principals were concerned about with regards to the start-related risks, without ideally introducing any sort of sporting advantage. And I think it was Melbourne where Colapinto avoided Liam Lawson on the starting grid by like a bee's dick.
Was it Melbourne or was it?
Yeah, it was Melbourne or China. It was
China.
one of them. Yeah. Gents, FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem has come out and noted that he is satisfied with the outcome of the meeting and the constructive manner in which the teams approached it. And team bosses, including Toto and James Vowles, have also publicly backed it in. But, and with acknowledgement that you can't just go and drop V12 cars back on the grid, what's your take on where this has landed? Are they the right changes, not enough changes, or literally all they can do given the need to protect the reality that they're so deep they can't get out of this hole?
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. General consensus is that it's the best outcome, the most kind of reasonable outcome that we could hope for, in saying that it's all just a fakery.
It's a bit of Band-Aid stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't really mind the cars going a little bit slower.
Right, that's a great point, Ev, because, like, let's be honest, we might look at lap times, but the lap times only matter in the context of other people's lap times. Like, I've never sat there and gone, holy shit, that was 4 seconds slower than last
season. Yeah.
But if they're close and they're fighting each other, that's the main thing, right?
They're going to be, I think, 1 to 2 seconds slower already in Miami. So, but you're never going to notice that in the race.
No.
So it means that there's less harvesting and there are more ways to do it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it should mean that it is a little bit, I guess, more predictable, and they're getting rid of a couple of gimmicks that Mercedes and Red Bull had found.
Okay.
For the quali.
Yeah, and they're qualifying, which I won't go into because that's a bit complicated. But they're getting rid of that. And I think they're getting rid of whatever that quote unquote mushroom boost.
Well, I think so. Correct me if I'm. So the boost could be executed anywhere on track, but now they're actually mitigating where that boost can be, or the power of that boost. I think
so. Yeah. And there was also one at Suzuka where Lando accidentally took his foot off the pedal, and the computer went into it thought that he wanted harvesting all the power. And then he got all the power and overtook Lewis, and then had no power on the straight.
Yeah,
and it's like, what's happening? This is it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, especially if it's that unpredictable.
Yeah, and so if that were Lando, he might think, well, I'll get on to the driving line, and all of a sudden you're on the driving line without any boost,
and someone comes up your ass.
Yeah, and so that's
not literally.
Through no fault of his own, you could put yourself into an extremely dangerous situation.
Yeah. So to that point, my understanding, and Tay, you might be able to elaborate on this, my understanding is that the loss of power won't go away, but it will be later. So it's that idea of the super clipping, right, is where they were lifting and coasting. So they were slowing down to harvest the energy before they got to a corner. But what they've done with some of these changes is it means they don't have to slow down as early. They don't have to lift and coast as early to harvest more power. And so therefore, they will still slow down very quickly when they come into a corner, but it'll be later on in the straight. Yeah. Okay. And to that point of, the cars apparently will be slower, but who gives a shit if it's still great racing, right? Like the danger is, and I don't know, do you guys know any more about this? But as I alluded to, I only picked up this afternoon that the boost button, which is obviously that mushroom boost that everybody was talking about, is your overtake button, really, right? It's and it used
and
to
defense.
And defense. Absolutely. And obviously
which then negates it as a overtake.
as an
button.
attack.
No,
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's why they changed the naming of it, right?
Yeah.
But what's come out about the Behrman crash, it's not that Colapinto was going slower than he should have been at that point. It's that Behrman had also pressed the boost button. So he was going faster than you should in a corner like that. And so I also understand that they've now introduced sections of all tracks where you can only use the boost at its maximum power
so that's
on
as
safe.
in DRS?
It's like a DRS.
Yeah,
it's
like
DRS.
DRS.
I mean, pretty much. It's Anyway, so they're kind of the big changes I've understood. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It was so overly complicated. I did wonder, is anyone gonna write this for people that don't? Well, people like us. Where we're kind of in a rock and a hard place where we have to be the ones who talk about this, but we don't understand it very well, and you've got to try and dumb it down so that people can understand it. But it was all so confusing, and actually, if anything, just iterates what a lot of the drivers have been saying is this whole thing is so fucking complicated.
Yeah.
But Tay, I mean, where have you landed? Again, is this all inconsequential to you if the racing's good, or is this the FIA slowly chipping away about the fact they're going to have to walk back on so much of this by the end of the season, and this is just the first?
I think, as we've spoken about, all of it's a shit show. I'd just love to know, surely they did like simulations of what these cars were going to be like.
Apparently loads of simulation work in the last couple
of
weeks.
They would have seen this stuff. Oh no, I'm not talking about the last couple of weeks. I'm talking
last
about
year.
When they were bringing in the new regs, the last 5
Not only that,
years.
they were defensive about it and said that
That's true.
But
I think this is the point, right? Is that they just refuse to accept negative feedback. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Ant Davidson, which obviously, he's a legend, and he's proved to be the best technical commentator for making it easily. He jumps on Sky Sport.
He dumps it down. Yeah.
But he was talking about the fact that everything that you've just asked Tay about, like, why didn't they see this? He said that he raised this all last year. So he's one of the sim drivers, and he's constantly in there. He he said, I raised these all to the top.
Ferrari raised these all
They just
last
didn't want to hear it.
No.
Yeah.
Basically, it all comes down to their mandate of trying to be eco and trying to get to that. And so it didn't.
But also the
matter
pressure
what
of the
everyone
likes
else was
of
saying.
Audi, right? Like
Audi
these new car brands wouldn't have come on
Audi
board.
and
Mercedes,
refused, vetoed the idea of going to V8s, and Mercedes were the most vocal about going. to a
because
50-50.
they already fucking nailed their car.
Well, I mean, we brought up that conspiracy theory about the fact that they put the Formula E in. They went in for a year, won it, and then fucked off.
As if it was a proof of concept, and they've just applied that.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is pretty, as much as but I like Mercedes, but it's pretty galling if you've got the reason why we have the cost cap is primarily because of Mercedes spending 10 to the power of 1 of everybody else.
That's
and now
right.
that they're under a cost cap, all they've done is spend $100 million on 1 year's worth of Formula E racing, so that they can have that development and just plug it into their car.
So clever, though.
And it's like, there's such a disgusting.
They're your favorite team.
I know they are.
Smugness. Disgusting
it's
smugness.
Hold on. Yeah. Disgusting. Is that the right choice of word? I mean, it's pretty impressive. Is that not what the whole point is to be innovative and to find ways?
The whole point is so that the little
those...
team can fight the big team.
True.
Not that the big team go around and spend an extra $100 million.
Just smash everyone out of the way.
Yeah. And like all this, Martin Brundle talked about how since the 80s, since the advent of computer technology in Formula One cars, where they had the ground effect was the first one, albeit that was a bit mechanical because it was a mechanical skirting that came down. But after that came active suspension.
Suspension.
No, with McLaren, wasn't it? Or Williams.
Yeah, and those cars were going like twice the speed through a corner because each independent suspension could do their own thing. And if any of that failed, you'd go spearing off at an unacceptable
in the air,
speed.
like an airplane.
And ever since then, they have made it's written in stone that you cannot have anything to assist you in driving. So
no ABS.
Porsche did a proof of concept electric car where the car you drive around a few laps and then the car took GPS data and AI and it figured out when you're going to turn and what the optimal. So where you are on the track, I know you're going to need this much input, so that it already starts steering for you and helping you. And they were breaking every record at Spa just to prove that they could do it and learn from it. And Martin Brundle was talking about how that the boost functionality, the car learns when you're harvesting and when you're
as in the same Porsche. Are you saying that?
No, the Formula One cars.
Formula One cars, yeah.
And he said, well, that means that's an assist. That's the car is assisting you because it's already thinking when
you're going to do it.
You're not even allowed to tell your driver how to use the menu system. They've got all these
you're not allowed to pass those messages on. No. So they're radio engineers. What are they saying to them if they're not passing on feedback? You're down on this corner, or
your tires are really good.
Yeah, they'll obviously have some sort of code.
Come in.
But there's times when someone would be like, I don't know. Even Lewis has said, I don't know how to do that because you've got to hold in 3 buttons at a time, and
so they're not allowed to pass on genuine tips in the middle of the race.
They're not allowed to tell the driver how to use the steering wheel.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And all of so.
It's a bit worrying if they don't know how to use their own steering wheel.
You've got the start procedure, which Ferrari brought up early last year.
Yeah.
And they just ignored it out of arrogance. And now everybody gets a free start.
I know.
That's kind of what it is,
right?
It
is, exactly. It's what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
This is
because look,
you're a shit starter. Here, we'll help you with that.
But it's crazy, right? Because actually that's what's been, from a fan perspective, so great about the 3 races so far is often what happens at the start. And then obviously those opening laps and the yo-yo racing. But it is the fact that there is so much jeopardy.
Mercedes is shit again.
There is it's Antonelli has a terrible start and suddenly Lewis goes from 6th to 1st. Fuck.
Just have a rolling start, like a safety car.
Fuck that. Rolling starts are boring.
Yeah,
and still
if that's what they want,
if
that's what they want,
rather than letting everyone have a free.
It's very NASCAR of you, Ev.
Meanwhile, Ferrari were the only team to do the right thing.
Yeah,
and plan for that accordingly.
Here's a random question for you. So, just to your point, Ev, a bit off script here, but just what you're talking about there. Is there a future of Formula One racing where the engineers don't exist because, to your point, the artificial intelligence is actually feeding all of this information and data direct to drivers? I don't want to say is there a world where the drivers don't exist, because who the fuck's going to want to watch that, right?
They have done that.
Have they?
Yeah, the autonomous
race
ones
in Abu Dhabi last year.
Really?
Year after COVID?
Yeah, they had a whole series. I was following the car designer who actually designed all the. He did.
Was it just the most boring race ever? Because
they just did one race. They did one race.
But how do they make mistakes?
So the AI learns, and so what happened was, and it was a big marketing push because it was come to Abu Dhabi. Was it Bahrain? It was at Yas Marina.
Somewhere that's been cancelled recently.
And it was, so all these cars, they look like Formula E cars, except there's no driver, and it's just a big camera at the top of the car. And what had happened was they did it under lights because it looks great, and it was
Abu
really
Dhabi.
Yeah, it was marketed as a really big thing. This could be tech end,
a future.
So
racing,
the cars line up, all of this money and all of this spend, and I think by the 3rd corner, all the cars and
really?
they all it was utterly humiliating, to the point where it would never come back. They'll never try it again because it was such a.
But let's put them on the road. Let's put them
waste
on the
of money. And an embarrassment, a bit like that Russian robot. Remember how the Russians brought out a robot and it fell out, and then they couldn't even close the curtain properly. That's what it was like.
The other, just to Ev's point, that was one where the cars looked more like F1 cars. The other one I was thinking of was actually called Robo Race, And if you Google that and check out those cars,
that's pretty
they
cool.
are fucking awesome.
I used to love Robo Wars. Hey, the other thing worth flagging before moving on from this topic, because this weekend matters more than most, Miami is obviously the first real test of these changes in race conditions, but they've picked a sprint weekend to do it. So usually you have your 3 practice sessions, 60 minutes each. They have announced today that they will extend the practice session, the one and only practice session of this weekend, to 90 minutes, is to allow the teams to get data, understand the new parameters, and I guess set up the car. For the teams that have also arrived with significant upgrades, and there are several, that is an extraordinary amount of variables to manage in almost no time. Gents, acknowledging the F1 has probably been blessed by a forced break to try and tackle what was becoming the biggest PR issue of the last few years. Surely a sprint race weekend that forgoes 2 practice sessions for race simulation events is the worst case testing ground for these teams and the F1.
Imagine if it rained.
Well, actually, have you seen that the forecast? The forecast is awful. It's like 36 degrees on one day, and then the next day they're talking about like torrential rain. So I don't know if that falls. I think that's sprint day and then race day forecast, but apparently there's some serious weather. And Florida's, Miami, is obviously, hurricanes, sinking. Thunderstorms, fucking torrential rain. So yeah, Ev, it's a very good point, but I do believe the weather's going to be intense.
Well, at least that makes it a little bit more unpredictable.
How much more unpredictability do you want? Like, honestly, we'll get to predictions shortly, but how many cars aren't going to finish this race? Or how bad is this going to be? It could be it could be an absolute shit show here for the F1. This could be, you talk about Ev with your AI racing and all the cars just going off in their own little fucking world by, turn 3, but this could be really bad for the F1 if it doesn't go well this weekend.
If it's not a good race, yeah.
If it's not a good race, it's going to get louder.
Someone should have that meme of what was it? Scarface when he's on the telephone to his dealer, and these dealers like laughing, they're counting money,
doing the montage.
Yeah, the montage. But instead of Scarface, it's the T-shirt printing company for Mercedes.
Yeah,
and the owners of the company are just like
P1,
P1,
yeah. Every week we got to print these shirts, baby.
Yeah, but look, I know you guys have, you've both probably been a little outspoken about the sprint weekends in general, and I think the F1 world is still quite torn. I think it's pretty obvious that not a lot of old F1 world likes new thinking. It's the 50-50 split of engines, and obviously the introduction of the sprints. I mean, could they have genuinely chosen not just the worst weekend being a sprint weekend and no time for practice, but also Miami's I don't want to completely suggest that this weekend's going to be terrible to watch because we're here to promote the sport. Miami's not the best track anyway, right? No. Could they have picked the worst weekend to introduce these?
Yeah,
I don't mind Miami.
It's growing on me.
Okay. Is it the fake marina that does it for you?
Yeah. No, the part of the track that's the back half of the track, which is permanent.
When it goes under the highway or whatever it is?
Yeah, after... I can't remember. Anyway.
Yeah, and
that's a really good part.
Crazy S.
Yeah, there's a hectic little chicane.
And I like that. And I like the first corner. And after the first corner, there's a big chicane. That's cool.
And there's that.
But it's
big,
really
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
There's some really good stuff
I actually
there,
quite like it. That massive back straight.
The half of the track that is just the car park. Because it's low grip. You don't have races there year round, so you're trying to have a sprint on a low grip track, and it just or it's a long track. It's like calling a marathon a sprint.
It's going to be
if it's like Austria or something or Hungary, a short little go-kart circuit. That's a good sprint.
Absolutely,
but no, not a slog like Miami.
Well,
how many laps would this be? 19 or
the sprint? Always
3.
Is it 19? Always 9? I thought it was a certain
it's like 18
percentage.
It's a 25% of the total race?
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Or maybe it's less than. All right, well, look, let's shift our sights to some other news. Connected to this story is that of a Max Verstappen update. So, as has been the case for this year to date, you can't actually talk F1 state of product and changes without Max being attached to it. And the headline, Max is not happy. So we've covered Max's BBC interview in the last episode, the "is it worth it" line that he threw out, and the growing suggestions from the 4-time world champ himself that his future in F1 may be coming to end. But since he's gone again, Verstappen has continued to give interviews in which he specifically criticizes the FIA's process for addressing the regulation problems, not just the regulations themselves. His argument, too few people in those meetings are willing to stand up and acknowledge that the problems actually exist. That's that there's a culture of defending decisions rather than fixing them. Well done, Ev. You did say that. And then, in case anyone thought it was softening, his father, Jos, actually gave an interview to the Dutch press in which he said, and I'm paraphrasing only slightly, that he sometimes switches the television off when he's watching the Formula One this year because of the state of it. So the entire Verstappen family mood going into Miami is not great. Now, I know we've talked this Verstappen topic to death in previous episodes, but F1 CEO Dominic Kelly came out in the break and actually stated specifically that keeping Max happy and hearing his concerns was critical. And again, not verbatim, but enough to reiterate that they can't keep having Max tearing things down publicly and undermining everything that they're trying to establish. You know, that 26 racing is great, the product is great, and this is all great for the future of F1. But the early days since the announcement would suggest it may not be. And a poor Miami race weekend, you know, and obviously that is only going to turn the criticism volume up, particularly from Max. Gents, before moving on to the last big story of the break, which is actually also connected to these first two headlines, is it fair to say that this is a man who is genuinely heading for the exit, or is this a very calculated, very public squeeze play from the Verstappen family on Red Bull, on the FIA, on anyone who might give him something better, of which, based on some headlines out during the break, would now appear to not just include Mercedes, but also Ferrari and McLaren?
It's interesting because you got a lot of rumors about he might go to Ferrari. Ferrari's in talks with him, you know, all that same stuff. And then also George was talking about how, you know, while we were complaining about porpoising in the shit car we had the last couple of years, he was raving because he was winning and talking about those regulations or whatever. So to his point, as in George's point, there is a level of argument to be had that if you're doing well, there's nothing to complain about, right? And if Red Bull were doing well, would we be seeing the same reaction and the same discussions and the same, you know,
well, in not being
outcry?
Cynical, if you want to accept the Max Verstappen that is the pure race driver, then you could err on the side that, yeah, even if he was winning, he'd probably be complaining about it.
For sure.
But whether or not that's the case, I mean, again, no one will ever know. But Ev, you know, you've been around long enough to watch the contract and political gamesmanship of drivers trying to move or build leverage. But deep down, do you genuinely think he is, or is this just a really, really clever power play? Probably not too dissimilar to what happened internally and Christian Horner leaving. Maybe. I don't know.
Even though they say they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it's a bit of, I think that there's a lot of truth in a lot of that. I can imagine what the most flexible outcome would be. He'd never go to Ferrari, and I don't think he'd ever go to McLaren.
You don't think Max Verstappen would go to Ferrari?
No, the hierarchy there, it's
not fitting
to
his
CEO, with his ego.
Yeah. So okay.
And so
he's the one to change them, Ev.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've heard that before.
What I can imagine is perhaps, because we do know that he can walk away from Red Bull, that's a lever,
by all
a
accounts,
mechanism
halfway through this year, right?
Yeah. And
once again,
what I think would be a good idea, if he had this luxury that he has and he wants to have, is to take a sabbatical and to do this GT3, which he's clearly enjoying. You know, he doesn't have to do any press. He doesn't have to do any media.
He should do what Sonny Hayes does. Just go to every different type of race category.
Racing,
win it, and then fuck off. Yeah.
So his dad wants him to join rallying.
Yeah. Not with Joss in the car after what happened on the weekend.
I could see him signing with Mercedes as a...
Just to spite George.
Yeah, but as a what do they say for lawyers? How they keep a lawyer on payroll or something?
Oh, yeah, on retainer.
On a retainer. I think that they could keep Max on retainer. So if and when he comes back, Mercedes say, well, we've already got him.
We've already got
signed.
you. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
And that would allow him a year or two off to do what he's enjoying.
Leave. Yeah. Garden leave. Yeah,
and to see where the chips may fall, at which point Mercedes might want to get rid of George before his next contract negotiations, because then he'll really want to get big bucks, which you kind of don't want to spend on him.
Yeah.
I think that's a very...
Digby would be just like...
All right, well, look, with that, and adding to the unhappiness of Max Verstappen, there's our final key rear view review story, which is termed the Lambiase bombshell. So over the break, Gianpiero Lambiase, I don't know, sorry for him and not being able to pronounce that, but Max's race engineer since 2016, the man on the other end of the radio for 4 world champions, who Ev has more or less just told me that doesn't really do much. The person who has more than arguably anyone else on that pit wall helped translate Max Verstappen's instincts into race strategy and kept him together through some of the most chaotic moments of recent F1 history. But it's confirmed he's leaving Red Bull. He is joining McLaren. Not soon, but in 2028. So still pretty much 2 seasons away. A few things to add to that, gents. So one, this was really interesting, and echoes, if anything, the poor showing and interest in Christian Horner. But apparently Lambiase was offered the role of team principal at Aston Martin, and he turned it down for this McLaren job. Max has said publicly more than once throughout his career that he would stop racing in F1 when Lambiase leaves. So that's a big red flag there, I think, for those at Red Bull. 3, David Coulthard has described the situation as an awkward dilemma for Red Bull. Specifically because Lambiase doesn't just engineers Max's car. He actually holds a dual role at Red Bull as their head of racing. So when he walks, he takes, institutional knowledge at the highest level with him. And 4, somewhat of a footnote, but not really, but Red Bull's RB22, so their car for 2026, has actually been described, as in the last week, as terrible by multiple sources over the last few weeks. Not struggling, not developing, but just pure terrible. So, gents, Red Bull is losing yet another key figure from a team that had previously been characterized by a level of stability rarely seen in F1. So just let me rattle off a couple that have walked out Red Bull's front door in the last couple of years. You had Chief Engineer Rob Marshall. You've got Chief Mechanic Lee Stevenson, Chief Technical Officer, obviously Adrian Newey, Sporting Director Jonathan Wheatley, Head of Strategy Will Courtney, CEO and Team Boss, obviously Christian Horner, and Advisor Dr. Helmut Marko, plus a half dozen 2 drivers. How worried are you both about the future of Red Bull, and where to now for them, particularly if they are genuinely staring down the barrel of a future without Max Verstappen?
I think every team goes through a moment where...
A rebuild?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's just their moment right now. They'll still be able to attract talent. I think they'll probably drop off for the next few years, but it definitely doesn't help, with how vocal Max is and where he stands, and the uneasiness of what his future looks like will definitely be playing into a part.
Ev, how much does a rebuild for the leading Red Bull team undermine the role of its development team in Racing Bulls? Okay, here's a question. Does the grid suddenly become too small for 2 Red Bull teams that are both got young, developing drivers in them?
Well, the Racing Bulls are functionally independent.
Yeah, they're still separate.
Yeah. I mean, what I find interesting is Digby's favourite,
Liam Lawson,
Ralph Schumacher.
He's got a few.
Came out this week, and because Christian was seen at the Honda MotoGP garage.
Yeah.
And Ralph had come out and said, because they were like, oh, isn't that interesting? Maybe he's good friends with Honda and all of this.
That's like, he's your good mate.
Yeah. Ralph,
my favorite oxygen thief,
made a good point in that.
He'd be the first.
Yeah. Aston Martin are desperate for a team principal, for a dynamic team principal, and Alpine are desperate as well. And yet both of them can offer him what he wants. And which is ownership and a proper stake, and nothing has come from that.
Yeah,
And he talked about how, he's still a bit toxic and radioactive. What I take a lot of Schadenfreude in, it's not just Christian, it's that type of populist leadership.
It's that culture that he brings.
Is he such a great leader, right, that without him,
Red Bull fall apart?
Yeah, it's this incredible falling. And if you're Red Bull and you've invested hundreds of millions of dollars and you've won everything and you remove one Jenga block and the whole, excuse me, this isn't, the whole thing isn't supposed to, yeah.
Well, but what if it's Christian that they have fallen apart because all of these other good people have walked because of Christian?
Away.
And he just happened to be the last man standing, so it looked like he was the glue holding it all together. I'm just saying, both sides of the fence.
We all know people, men and women who've led companies and things, and they act, again, like the FIA, they act super defensive. They do things to make people quote unquote happy, but refuse to fix any sort of institutional problem.
Yeah. Just put wallpaper over it.
Have no desire to tackle anything institutionally related.
I don't want to labor on this, but just very quickly, Ev, just trying to think, because I've not been around F1 long enough, but when Vettel left Red Bull, was that a similar situation, or
he'd felt so he'd won 4 in a row?
Yeah, because they were very successful, and they hit a bit of a lull for a couple of years, didn't they?
I thought he left straight after the next year that he won 4 in a row.
And he went to Ferrari. But what I'm saying is did
Red Bull have a lull? Yeah, Red Bull did
Red Bull have a lull?
Yes, they did.
But as dramatic, I guess my point is, we saw Red Bull do really well, then do really bad, and then they do really well. Is the expectation that of course Red Bull will find a way in 2-3 years they'll probably be back at the pecking order?
Why Red Bull in part had a lull for a couple of years was because they brought on Max Verstappen. They promoted Max at age 18.
And
it took Max 3 or 4 years
to get
before
Ricciardo wasn't quite good enough to be the Vettel replacement.
Yeah, so those things happened simultaneously.
Yeah.
That they had a lull and their number one driver needed time, and so it kind of happened together.
Yeah, okay.
That one got good and they both got good.
Is that Kudja the future number one driver?
No,
do you know what I mean? It feels like it's such a different scenario than maybe in 2016 or whenever I was.
I don't see that they've got a number one driver coming through the ranks.
But doesn't that speak to that corporate character that they crowed so much? They were so smug about their young driver program, and they just burned them all.
Yeah,
and it's you reap what you sow, and you sowed good drivers, and you threw them out,
who are now doing quite well at other teams. Hey, look, right. We're mostly caught up on, obviously, what's been taking up the airwaves for the last 4 weeks. Number of key stories, of which every single one of them points to the same question hanging over this sport right now, which is whether the era we're in is a blip or whether Formula One is genuinely in a better place to where it has been throughout its history. But for now, it's time to talk Miami. It's time for Grid, Walk and Trash Talk. It's only round 4 of the 26th season is here, and here, right here with your idiots, is where you get ready for the weekend and ensure you're as up to date as you need to be. So from the circuit to the storylines to keep an eye out through the weekend to our predictions, you can be sure that come the moment that rubber hits the road this weekend, you've got some idea about what the fuck is going on. And if you don't because we've given you the wrong or incorrect information, that's on you. That's not on us. So let's start with the circuit. So officially the Miami International Autodrome, that's the name of the race. It's 5.4 kilometers, 19 corners, built around, as Ev so lovingly put it, a fucking car park of the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens.
Well, it's also
home
around
of the Miami
stadium.
Dolphins. It's the culmination of a development process, gents, that simulated no less than 36 different layouts before settling on a street circuit vibe, which is not too, or I wouldn't say it's dissimilar to Melbourne's Albert Park. The race has been on the Formula One calendar since 2022, so 4 races. Last year, Piastri grabbed his first win in the US with teammate Norris finishing second, and everybody's favourite bridesmaid, George Russell, came in third. And as I understand it, it is a circuit that rewards tyre management, it rewards overtaking bravery, and has been known to deliver chaos, if not solely in driver announcement theatrics, Miami cop Harley-Davidson escorts to the podium, or NFL helmet trophies. At a sprint format this weekend, and you've got a track that's going to ask a lot of the cars that have also turned up with major upgrades and a new set of tech regs to absorb, which we have covered already. So, gents, if you were to rank your top races, where does Miami sit in that? So you've both alluded to earlier in this episode that you actually quite like Miami. Does it feature in your top races? Is this one where, like you do tend to look forward to more than others, or you're just warming to it like a half chub in the morning?
For me, I think it might actually be in the 10. It might actually be in but it'd be at the back end.
Tay's got a full chub.
It'd be either 1 point or just out of the points for me.
Okay. You always just complicated. Okay, it might be 9th or it might be 11th. Yeah. Ev, have you've come to love it, but does it feature as your top races or not yet?
No. This and I think that Texas Circuit of the Americas is a really good track.
I love that track too.
Without a doubt, the best US track.
But this Miami, there's something just really frustrating about this and Las Vegas.
Yes.
Where
Vegas is shit.
It kind of needs to be like one of those. What was in Happy Gilmore where they go to like the mini putt, and like it's proper like chaos.
Yeah,
and like whereas everywhere else in the world we have putt that's like just an arch
standard.
And it's
yeah.
A cowboy.
Yeah, it's like Miami is the fucking clown that spits the ball back out at you.
Yeah.
That goes completely against what you were talking about before.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You want a bit more chaos. Hey, look, before we dive into the stories to keep an eye out for, just a quick recap of the current championship picture. So in terms of drivers, Nelly leads on 72 points. George, his teammate, is behind on 63. Then got both Ferrari drivers in 3rd and 4th, both McLaren drivers in 5th and 6th, with the surprise packages of Tay's favourite Behrman, and then Gasly in 7th and 8th. Following all of them, as we alluded to, is Max and Liam Lawson, his ex-teammate, is rounding out the top 10. For those on Stroll Watch, which I realise we probably haven't given as much love to this season. He's currently dead last in 22nd, which may be the reason why
we haven't given him love.
Might have been why he went and tried his hand at GT3 during the break, which we will get to shortly.
Break more records.
We will get to shortly. In terms of constructors, obviously you've got Toto's Mercedes in the lead, Ferrari in 2nd, and McLaren 3rd, with obviously notable mentions to Haas and Alpine, who are 4th and 5th. Red Bull again, not in that sentence. Gents, just out of curiosity, if you could change just one position in the drivers and constructors champ, what is it? Who do you wish? And obviously not Max, because I know you guys haven't been massive Max fans, but is it literally, is it that obvious? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Right.
Like, I want
to actually be up there higher.
I want Stroll to be in first place.
Wouldn't that be incredible?
And to have like this like scared like deer in the headlights.
Yeah, like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here.
Like he's like constantly hyperventilating.
Storylines for the weekend. These are the ones to watch out for. We've obviously covered off the regulation changes and then rolling them out to a sprint weekend. But the first other thing to keep your eyes out for this weekend is that of upgrades, and likely a lot of them. So the 2 cancelled races in April meant teams had more time in the factory and more time to, I guess, manufacture parts. The development race has always been, I guess, the point of this season, particularly with these new regulations. It's obviously quite exciting thinking that very quickly teams can find bigger gains because there are more unexplored directions. So several teams were already targeting Miami for their first major upgrade package. Add 6 extra weeks and more factory time. And what you're getting this weekend is not a standard upgrade race. It could be a reshuffling of the entire grid. The headline is McLaren. So Stellar team principal has described what they're bringing as, quote, a completely new car from an aerodynamic point of view. He's also said he expects most of their competitors to be in a similar position. Gents, when a team principal calls his own upgrade a whole new car in public before the race, is that the most exciting thing he could say, or is that setting up the most spectacular backfire of the season?
Both can be right.
Yeah. Do you guys know of any other? Who else is bringing big upgrades?
Ferrari is bringing upgrades. They were talking about what they're bringing.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember what they're bringing.
We're not sure. Yeah, okay.
No, they haven't released that.
No.
Okay.
I do know that
they don't really
Red Bull
to.
were caught testing their own rear wing that does what
the
Ferrari's
Macarena.
the
doing.
Macarena. Yeah, that's
Red
right.
Bull were testing that on their
the great
photography day. They're like
do you
marketing
remember
day.
the Bean episode where he's copying someone next to him in the test?
Yeah.
And it's literally Red Bull looking at Ferrari
but that's what they all do, right? They obviously okay. I also heard that Red Bull's car is something like 10 kilograms over still. I know Williams, and it's probably fair to say that there's a bit of expectation about what Williams are going to come to the party with, but I hear Red Bull is significantly overweight as well.
I'd be curious to see what Aston's like now that, because they've been approved for their new engine, or they've approved their new engine. So it'll be interesting to see what that is like.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
I don't expect much from Stroll, but
hopefully
Alonso can bring something.
We said before, and we'll probably touch on it again, but before the break, we said that there's probably no more pressure on two teams than Aston Martin and Williams to make something out of this break, because they have been shit. They have Cadillac is shit, but that's because
they're brand new.
That's what everyone expected at least. But those other two are awful. Hey, our next storyline, Antonelli's happy hunting ground. So there's quite an uncomfortable fact for everyone chasing Antonelli right now. So Miami is actually where he really announced himself in last year's rookie season. He sprint qualifying was fastest. He was top 3 in the actual race qualifying, only I think it was like 0.06 seconds off pole position. He ended up only finishing 6th, which is still great, but this is a track he knows, a track he likes. He arrives on back-to-back wins. He has a 9-point championship lead, and he's obviously only 19. Lads, during the week, Russell has come out and confirmed that there is no number 1 in Mercedes. Here we go. We've done this dance before. Nor will there be team orders. But in coming off back-to-back wins, is the pressure on Antonelli this weekend, or does it all sit with George, who seems to be fighting for more than just an F1 championship, but potentially his seat? Yeah, so Tay's jumped in. It's all George. Pressure's all on George.
You know what it's starting to remind me of when, and we obviously talked about it a little bit just beforehand, but when Max was coming up and all of a sudden Danny used to be the good one and now he's no longer. So that's what it's starting to feel like over there.
What, you think that George could just be relegated to going back to Williams or something?
I think he's going to get to a point where he's going to feel like he's not number 1, and he's going to look for the next team that can actually help.
And he'll make the bounce to the wrong team at the wrong time on their decline,
and then all of a sudden he's
Renault and McLaren.
And then all of a sudden
he's forgotten. He's forgotten. He's just that chick in Fallout.
You'll never be forgotten, Daddy. You'll never be forgotten.
Yeah. Ev, would you agree? Would you say that Russell's under the heat? It's this? I mean, we've spoken about it. It's his season to lose. So is it fair to say that the pressure's all on him?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I still don't have any faith in how old's Antonelli? 17,
19. I literally just said
the fucking
That's how little I care about Kimi.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Kimi has,
his name's Kimi.
If anybody
not Kimi.
has the ability to put together a title challenge at that age, right? For this many races with an unpredictable car, and we haven't even seen them fighting yet.
Do we feel like it's an unpredictable car though?
Well, everything. I think it's fair to say everything feels very unpredictable this year because we don't because don't forget what we haven't spoken about is in a couple of weeks' time the engine advantage that Mercedes have found. That's all going to come into play.
Yeah,
and we don't know. Ferrari could turn up this weekend. McLaren could turn up this weekend and smash Mercedes. But Ev, you just said to Ev that Kimi's name is Kimi, not Gimme. But that for me is without Digby here to defend him. But the Mercedes are Kimi and Gimme because George thinks he's like, give me the trophy. I'm entitled to it. Give me it. It's Kimi and Gimme. Hey, third storyline to look out for: 2 American teams, 1 home race debut. So as F1 continues its UF growth agenda, we can't enter the first US race week of the year and not talk about Haas and Cadillac. So you've got Haas who are sitting in 4th spot, and you've got Cadillac who are making their debut on home soil. First American race weekend as an F1 team. They're hoping to bring their first upgrade package, and they have the support of an American crowd that will no doubt be cheering on loudly for them regardless of where they finish. Somewhere last, I suspect. Hey, there's also, and this is quite a thing, Formula 2 is making its North American debut this weekend. And Colton Herta, who made the switch from IndyCar. He's an American driver, made the switch from Indy, will be racing in F2 at Miami this weekend. And I believe that for the first time in history, it's the feeder series races in America.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I did not realize that F2 wasn't racing in North America.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Well, they could have only have raced, recently, obviously, Miami, but realistically, they could have only really raced in Austin for a long time. But it's a long way to take all those cars for one race.
Yeah, but it never crossed my mind that they wouldn't be.
Yeah, because then I think they all go to Canada as well. Yeah.
Is he older than everybody else?
Calder?
Yeah.
It's a good question, actually. It's a very. I don't
like
actually know.
34.
He's
like us going back to uni. And where's the party at?
What is that? Mature age students? Mature age student.
Yeah.
Look, I tell you what, there's a lot of pressure on him because I don't know if you guys recall, it was a couple of years ago
he
when
was making
he was
his
pining.
Little remarks.
He used to make quite a lot of remarks about what he would do in an F1 car. So anyways, there you go. Big American weekend. But gents, how important is it for the F1's growth agenda to have a competitive US team and drivers? Or does it really not matter as long as there's great PR potential? Like, obviously,
who was the driver that crashed? Story. They were last week in an Indy car.
Schumacher.
It was fucking Mick.
No,
it was Mick.
It was Mick.
Yeah. He's done it twice now. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I saw a graph where it was talking about the viewership of F1 based on how many races were in that, whether it was a continent. So it had the EU, it had China, it had North America and all that. China's way up there. They're like more than double the viewership compared to the rest of the countries based on
I think this is why BYD.
How many races.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would make that much of a difference.
Yeah, okay.
To be honest, I think it's still going to be popular.
Did you
see a Hong Kong race?
That would be sick.
The street circuit.
Holy shit. Well, so two things to pick up from that. Apparently, the conversations have continued to move forward with BYD entering F1. That seems to be getting a little bit more traction. And obviously, to your point, Tay, if it's like when Yao Ming joined the NBA. NBA went fucking it went gangbusters in China. Like, do you know what I mean? If they get a team.
It was Linsanity. It was Linsanity.
Yes, that's exactly right. But the other thing I was going to say is just in terms of national support or national pride, did you guys see on the weekend that Colapinto had like an exhibition drive in Argentina and 600,000 Argentinians showed up to watch him?
I do not understand. I don't get it.
They love him and they love Argentinians love Argentinians.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah. Anyway, so
was Maradona Argentinian?
Yes, he was, mate.
Yeah. So he was an absolute fiend. That's the only time I've ever seen anything on that level.
Loved his.
He's a fiend in many ways.
Yeah. He loves his football. But going back to the point about Colapinto, you can imagine a successful American driver and how America just loves to, they put on a good show, they build up a good story. Like you can just see.
It's not
when they had a good driver, because obviously we had what's his name on Williams, and he was
Logan.
Shit. Yeah,
Logan
he didn't bring anything to the table. No one really gave a shit about him.
I think you need to have really kind of back to basics V8 or V10, no turbos.
You find any way to go back there,
and but that's what the narrative that works in NASCAR and the IndyCar. That's
full combustion. Loud.
That's loud.
Yeah,
and it's easy to understand why someone's faster. Instead of now, we don't. It's really
overly
complicated.
Yeah,
this guy's faster, actually, but no, that gonna do this.
He's not because he knows how to press the overtake button.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look. On that note, gents, it's time to do our predictions for the weekend. As always, these go on record. They come back next episode, and we'll be held accountable for every single one of them. Now, for those new here or those needing reminding, there are 4 categories to cover off. So you got race winner, you got rest of podium, biggest surprise, and the biggest disappointment of the weekend. So let's start with race winner. Tay, you're going to go first, then Ev. Who's taking the checkered flag on Sunday?
Obviously, it's hard to know really because of all the...
Say what you see, Gareth.
Yeah, all the upgrades coming in, and we haven't seen anything yet. So who knows how the cars are. But based on where we're at currently, I'm going to say Kimi for first.
Ooh.
I'm going to have...
Okay.
I'm going to have Russell second.
You're going straight to podium?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Well, that's what you're asking me, weren't you?
Well,
Sorry.
we were going to do winner first, and then we're going to... But no, that's right. Go, give us your podium. So you've got Kimi,
so
then
Kimi
you've got
first, and then I'm gonna say Russell second, and then I'm gonna I'll put Charles.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll come
And
back to you for
then-
surprise. Hold on for surprise. Ev, who have you got for winner and podium?
George, I think George is going to win.
Okay.
With Kimi in second.
Okay.
And I think it'll be Oscar in third.
Okay.
I think the surprise will be that nothing
going- yep.
changes.
Fucking hell.
I think it's going to be. I think we're going to be like, all these changes and all these teams are bringing big. I think nothing's going to change.
Ev.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
No, that was like,
But just out of curiosity, so
neither do I.
like you don't want to like no surprise in the sprint win, or you just like no. Okay,
Nah.
all right. Tay, have you got anything a little bit more less pessimistic about? What have you got for a surprise?
I'm going to
Anything
say
you
that
think?
Alonso is going to be. I'm trying to think. He hasn't. They've been in the back the whole season.
Yeah, they've been awful.
Alonso, yeah. So surprise-wise, I'm going to say Alonso's within the top 8.
Fuck off! Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, you wanted a surprise.
Yeah. Do you actually believe that?
No.
Anything could happen.
Well, yeah. Like for me, the surprise thing is the outlandish, right? I'll try and keep it more realistic.
No, it's good.
The podium and the winner.
I like it. Alonso coming in top 8.
Yeah.
And then biggest disappointment for both of you?
I'm going to say Lewis out of the top 5.
Okay. I mean, Yep, top 5. Okay.
Yeah,
right,
because
Ev?
he's been pretty solid. He's been within the top 5.
I think he's been in the top 5 for the last races.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. What was the question?
Biggest disappointment for the weekend.
I think Aston Martin. Just in general, I think
they're always a disappointment.
They've been, but
I
there
think
are
them and Williams.
expectations. Yeah, okay.
There's nothing they've shown. Them and Williams have shown.
Well, at least
nothing.
that is consistent with your first answer of biggest surprise and nothing changing.
That's right.
Like,
normally I'm inconsistent.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay,
fair enough.
All right.
Yeah, because they've shown no. We have it.
There's been
following
nothing
our
out
football
of them, has
teams. They've, you can tell when a team is starting to turn it around, or they bring a player out who's been injured and they start to get back to winning. But they've McLaren, Williams and Aston Martin. Why does Lambiase didn't go to follow Adrian Newey and to be offered more money?
And big role.
Yeah, bigger role and all of it. Like, why wouldn't he do that? That's crazy. He'd have less oversight over him as well there. You can kind of do whatever you want. Lawrence Stroll
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
right.
they've shown no interest in being better.
Well, there's been nothing coming out of them. All right, for race winner, I'm going to say Piastri. I think, look, I'm super excited about McLaren and what we saw in the last race. I think he's going to go 2 from 2. I'm bearing in mind that actually he didn't start the first 2 races of the year. The rest of the podium, I'm going to say George and Charles. So 3 different constructors in the top 3. The biggest surprise, I'm going to say Gasly. To continue his incredible form for Alpine, and he's going to place that car in 4th. And for biggest disappointment, for biggest disappointment, I'm going to say Antonelli will not finish in the top 10. He'll finish somewhere between 11th and last. Might be a DNF maybe. So there we have it. So
I'll have to check the website to see where I stand.
Do that. Check. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new website, idiotsoff1.com. Which you can't see the scoreboard for predictions, but you can for Hush You Been Paying Attention. You can actually even do the Hush You Been Paying Attention quiz on our website. And with that, actually, it is time for Hush You Been Paying Attention, the quiz where we separate those who have been keeping up from those who have been spending 4 weeks watching the telly with the sound off like Jos Verstappen. As it stands, currently, Ev, you, sir, are leading. You are up 5-1 with both Tay and Digby sharing a point. Now, last time out, Ev, you managed to win without getting 1 question right.
You're welcome.
It's kind of wild, but hey, that's the beauty of this stupid fucking quiz and the chaos.
Don't hate the player.
Before we get into the questions, quick reminder of the rules for those joining us for the first time or for those whose memory is as short as my patience. Notably for those of you trying to figure out how the fuck Ev wins around without actually getting a question right. So questions 1 through to 6, you got to buzz in to answer. If you get it right, you get the point. If you get it wrong, the other player gets a chance to steal. 1 point per question. Questions 7 and 8, however, are the danger zone. So it's the same buzz-in format, but if you answer and you're wrong, you lose 2 points. You can choose not to answer, of course, but if you do answer and you're right, you get 2 points. So high risk and occasionally high reward.
Depends how much the person's leading at that time, really, doesn't it?
True. Maybe we'll change those numbers. But in rounding out how the fuck Ev won last time out, well, he and Digby both had awful games, and they came to the danger zone with 0 points. So not one question answered right before
called strategy.
Danger zone. And poor old Digby had a crack at the danger zone question and got it wrong.
Why would he do that?
Which took him into negative points. And Ev, he won.
It's the equivalent of shooting himself in the head.
He literally Stephen Bradbury'd. Yeah, he just waited for everyone else
Digby
to fall over.
And looked into the lightsaber before turning it on.
Yeah.
Where does it come from?
So today we've got 8 questions. We've got 4 on the USA or Miami's F1 history. We've got 4 on Miami culture and life, which I know these boys love. They love the second half of the quizzes. And to allow us to kick off, it's time to get your buzzers. Tay, starting with you, give us your buzzer check, please, mate.
Vice City, baby.
Oh, yeah, Vice City. Nice. Miami. Good spot. Can you sing the song from the show? Ev, What have you got?
I have hot dog. We have a wiener. Earlier today, I managed to put our program guide into ChatGPT.
And that's what it gave you?
And it wrote all these jokes for me. In the Simpsons, they have a computer that does the radio.
That's right,
in the elephant episode. And they're like, it even comes up with its own quippy sayings. It's like, this is I don't need to do anything. We just need ChatGPT.
Yeah, very good. I like it. Well done, boys. All right, question number 1. Here we go. Miami has hosted Formula One for 4 seasons now, but everyone remembers the first. Easy opener. Who won the first ever Miami Grand Prix in 2022?
Hot dog, we have a wiener.
What do you got, Ev?
Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, that is wrong. That is wrong, my friend. That is wrong. Hey, you're going to steal.
Yeah, I'm going to say Max.
Well done. It is Max. It is Max Verstappen in a year that Red Bull was incredibly competitive, go on to win 17 of the 22 races that
When did
year.
Charles win? Didn't he win?
I don't think
no, Charles.
No, he hasn't won any.
He hasn't won Miami.
Second.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Sticking with first races. Where was the first F1 race in the USA?
Hot dog, we have a wiener.
What do you got?
New York or New York State.
No, that would have been amazing. God.
No, but wasn't it in upstate New York somewhere?
Nah, official F1 race was not there.
I think it was Indianapolis.
So Tay, so the Indy car, the Indy 500 was counted as part of the F1 calendar from 1950 to 1960, but none of the European drivers entered it, and they didn't have the F1 regulations. So it is unofficially not where the first American F1 race was. However, you have nailed the nuance to this question. So you're going to have half a point.
Yeah.
But
Watkins Glen, that's what I was thinking of.
No, yeah, it wasn't.
They did race Formula 1 there.
Yeah. So the answer is Florida. The first official F1 World Championship for the United States Grand Prix was held in 1959 at the Sebring International Raceway in Florida.
That's
Sebring.
the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
So, to your point, Tay, the Indy 500 was part of the F1 World Championship from 50 to 60.
The more you know.
But the race is recognised as the first dedicated US Grand Prix. So 1.5 to zip. Question number 3. To the nearest whole number, how many official F1 drivers have come from the USA? And for a bonus point, name one American driver who has won a Drivers' Championship.
Hot dog, we have a wiener.
Number. What do you got?
Andretti?
Could get you on a technicality, but I'm going to give it to you. Right? So you get 1 point. Because there
there
were
was
2 Andrettis.
Yeah.
There were 2.
Andretti Senior.
Yeah, fair enough.
What's his first name?
Mario. Luigi Andretti? Luigi Andretti.
Mario, you literally said the wrong fucking Mario, brother.
I said Mario.
No, he did. He said it first.
Oh, did he?
No, and then he followed up. Yeah, I heard him.
All right, Ev, and
what year?
Just for an extra point, how many American drivers have there been? I'll give it to the nearest 10.
In general?
In total, F1, not including Indy 500.
Don't give fucking...
I'm going to say 8.
Well, yep, that's wrong.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right.
He said the nearest 10.
I know. That's why I was. That's right.
Just fucking
1.5 to 1.5 to 1.5.
But I didn't want to repeat it in case Ev didn't hear it. So I was just I'm shutting the fuck up.
That's why I tripped on it. I was like, that's not the nearest 10, but sure. Tay, you going to have a stab to get a point? How many closest 10 for
I'd
US
say
drivers
28.
in history? Okay, which is also not the nearest 10. This has been fun. Okay,
well, I'm saying as in, do you want me to say 20 or 30? Is that what you're saying by the nearest 10?
Well, nearest 10 is whatever you're nearer to. So if you said 28, the nearest 10 would be 30.
Exactly. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, you're both wrong. The answer's 58. So it would have taken
there's that many.
There have been 58 drivers, and there have been 2 drivers to go on and win the F1. Obviously, Mario Andretti in 1978. However, there was, and weird name, you wouldn't call your son Phil if your last name was Hill, but Phil Hill won it in 1961. Never heard of him, but there you go. He's a championship driver. Question number 4, it is... Yeah, go Tay.
I was going to say, wasn't Damon Hill's dad also an F1 driver? But what was his name?
He was, but he's not American.
Graham Hill.
No, I know he wasn't American,
Hill.
but Graham, that's
Graham
it.
Hill.
Yeah.
Wasn't Phil.
He was famous. He had a...
Bill Hill. Right, question number 4. While the number of drivers is high, the modern era of F1, so post-1990, has seen very few Americans, with only 4 starting a race in the last 30 years. Name one of them.
Vice City, baby.
What do you got, Tay?
Oh,
he's nervous. He's going to fuck it up. He's forgotten it.
Give it a minute. 3, 2, 1.
I blanked on it.
Wiener, baby.
5,
hot dog, we have
4,
a wiener.
3,
Hot dog, we have
2,
a wiener. Hot dog, we have a wiener.
On his name.
Hot dog, we have a wiener.
Blanked on
Hot
it.
What do you got, Ev?
Logan Sargent.
Yeah, Logan Sargent.
Swish.
Yeah. We would have taken Andretti's son too, Michael Andretti. That's another one. Scott Speed, unbelievable name.
Scott Speed, yep.
Unbelievable name.
Born to be a Formula 1 racer.
Was there
Alexander
Max Power
Rossi
as well?
No Max Power. And obviously Logan Sargent. So combined, they've entered 82 races, with Logan the most recent with Williams, where he actually had 36 starts. So that's the F1 half done. It is 2 to 1.5 to Ev. So there is time here.
Why are you questioning that?
I couldn't, because I couldn't remember who was on the half.
Yeah.
All right, question number 5. This one should be a gimme, and certainly one I would expect Digby to nail. But which iconic American TV series, filmed largely in Miami, first... What do you got, Tay?
Miami Vice.
Oh, he's done it. He even cut the question off. He went early. He didn't want to fuck it. But yeah, made Ferrari driving detectives, pastel suits, and wearing loafers with absolutely no socks culturally acceptable.
I thought it was going to be a trick question, and it was going to be about Ballers, because doesn't he build a stadium in Miami?
Ballers is awesome as well.
Great show too. Right, it is 2.5 to 2. Question number 6. Miami is mostly recognized as the cruise capital of the world. Port Miami handles more cruise passengers annually than any other port on the planet. How many cruise passengers did Miami welcome in 2025? A, 757,000, B, 1.2 mil, C, 3.9 mil, or D, 8.6 mil.
Right City, baby.
A, B, C, 4. Yeah, what do you got, Tay?
D million.
D.
1B, 3.
Yeah, fuck.
I'm going to do the highest one. What was it, 8.6?
Oh, he's got it. He's done it, ladies and gentlemen. He's got it again. It is right, 8.6 million. The most recent fiscal year, so last year, Port Miami handled a record-breaking 8,564,225 cruise passengers. I mean, that's a lot of people at the trough, at the pig's trough, you know.
Just a bunch of swingers, all the pineapples, all of it.
God. Yeah, so there you go. Apparently, the cruise activity at Port Miami contributes approximately $61 billion annually to the local economy and supports around 340,000 jobs, mostly cleaning up the fucking all-you-can-eat buffet. Hey, we're in the danger zone. It's 3.5 to 2. If you can still win this, you just get one of these right and you get 2 points. Question 7 and 8. Here we go. Question 7. True or false? Miami is the only major US city founded by a woman.
How do I not know this?
Is anyone going to roll the dice, or are you waiting for the final question? Tay, you could get it wrong and lose 2 points and be half a point behind, but you got a 50-50 chance to just knock this and win it right here, right now.
Yeah, but knowing my luck, I'm always going to get the wrong one.
50-50.
I'll go then. I'll say no.
You, sir, are wrong. It is true. Julia
I was
Tussle.
actually going to say true.
earned the nickname the Mother of Miami after purchasing 640 acres of land along the north bank of the river and tirelessly promoted the area's development. She is the only founding woman of an American state.
Was that Mar-a-Lago? Or whatever you call that place?
No, is that in Miami?
Mar-a-Lago.
No, it's Florida.
It's in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, same.
Well, Miami's in Florida. Yeah.
It's all in Florida.
It's all in Florida.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to ask the last question. I'm not going to give Ev the win. Tay, you have won this because Ev is on 0. You are on 3.5.
Yeah.
But the last question, just out of curiosity, American football, Miami Dolphins, the Hard Rock Stadium is their home. In the 1994 film Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, a real-life NFL legend played himself as the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. What was his name? Dan Marino. Well done, Tay. There you go. Fucking you blitzed him, man.
Laces
Tay,
out.
I'm going to give him that. I'm going to give it, Tay. What did you get? 7.5 points? 5.5.
5.5.
5. Oh, yeah, you didn't answer that. Okay, 5.5. Ev, you got 0. So that goes up on the website scoreboards. Yeah,
I was
Dan
ahead
Marino,
for a while.
he played 242 games. He holds the record for being the fastest to reach several career milestones, including 100 touchdown passes and 30,000 pass yards. While he led the Dolphins to 10 playoff appearances and 1 Super Bowl, he is never actually won a title. He's the winningest quarterback in history, but he's never won a title.
Winningest.
Yeah. There you go, Tay. Well done. That is Hush. You've been paying attention for another episode.
Come
and we
back,
finally
baby.
have an updated scoreboard on Ev on 5, Digby on 1, and Tay has moved out of bronze into silver on 2. Right, lads, we've done the catch-up, we've done the preview, we've done the quiz. It is time for What's Verstappen. And for those new here, this is our very own part of the interruption, a suite of news headlines of recent times that we've not covered off, mostly off-track stories, really, that leave us going, what the fuck, in most instances. We're going to run through the final news you need to be across one by one, and each of my idiots have only got 30 seconds to offer up their opinion. So here we go. Headline number 1. Lance Stroll channels his inner Max. So Lance Stroll, currently last in the F1 Drivers' Championship, took a page out of Max Verstappen's book and spent his break racing in the GT World Champion Challenge Europe at Port Ricard in France. And look, in fairness, his pace at times was reportedly competitive. There were moments where you could see the talent, but the team collectively incurred over 8 minutes of penalties during the race for blue flags, meaning he didn't move out of the way for faster cars, and for track limits. So 8 minutes of penalties for not following instructions, which is by any measure the full Lance Stroll experience transferred to a different series without interruption. The question I have, and I want a genuine answer here, gents, is this evidence that Lance Stroll actually wants to be a racing driver? Or is this just evidence that his approach to the sport remains exactly the same regardless of what car he's sitting in, and he should probably find another hobby? Tay, go.
So in regards to that, there's obviously, I think there's 3 part of the team, right? Or is it just 2?
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he got every penalty apart from 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Brilliant.
So just
okay. So you can't blame anyone else.
No, that's on him. I think he's just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. I think he's wanting to be Max, but not able to be Max.
I'm sure you guys saw it, and just because we're on Lance, there's a video of him walking onto what would be maybe a $60-70 million yacht during his break.
Yeah.
And he just looks so fucking miserable.
He's
miserable.
so
bored, yeah.
He just looks so bored, doesn't he? And it's like his attitude, it's like he's such a non-event in F1. He never gets airtime. The media don't talk to him.
But he's a prick.
Is he though? Or
there's the interactions that I've seen, he's begrudgingly takes photos. He doesn't interact. He just looks like someone who's so unapproachable. It could be that he's just incredibly introverted and he just.
But it's interesting because everybody loved that about Kimi, but nobody likes that about Lance. Kimi Räikkönen, by the way, not Antonelli.
And
there's a big difference. A
lot of these drivers, except for Lewis, I guess, like nepo babies, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but he's like A-class nepo baby. Like,
so he was so
the creme of nepos.
It's like when they talk about, people who are attractive. They don't have, like, Tay never had to develop any sort of personality.
Or did.
He just got by on his looks. And
like a fine wine. I got better with age. I was a mongrel.
Never even needed to have looks to get any supermodel he wanted to date or anything, because he was just, his father was
money can only take you so far, though.
Rich.
I can take you pretty far.
$60 million yachts every other day just because you feel like it.
Just so miserable.
Yeah, he's like the son from Succession. Well,
which one?
Macaulay Culkin's brother.
No, not Macaulay. Like the main son,
the older one.
Jeremy. Yeah.
Jeremy Strong. Yeah. I mean, he's been in Formula 1 for a long time now.
He has been. Yeah.
And he didn't win, but he got like second or third at Azerbaijan, that crazy race.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
that was in his first season, wasn't it? Didn't he get a podium in his first season for Williams?
Yeah, he did.
And,
yeah.
But to think that despite his longevity and all of this, like
I think it's BWT.
Every 100% of the people who want their photo with you or want your autograph is purely out of irony. Like nobody likes him. Imagine knowing for sure that nobody likes you for who you are.
And nobody knows him. I'm going to defend him a bit. Nobody really knows him. It's not like he's ever got airtime on Drive to Survive, like the drivers that everyone loves. And I don't know. Anyway,
it's so unfair putting him next to Fernando Alonso as well. One of the most charismatic races in history.
Lovable races. Yeah.
But there is a reason for that, right? Because he isn't likable.
Yeah, he's.
But you guys say that about everyone. Evie, you in a disco?
No,
like your lights continue to change colours.
No, I'm watching CNN. It's in an ad right now, so that's why.
Story number 2. Didn't get anything from Ev about his racing, but anyways, we've covered off Stroll. We haven't done him for a while. Story 2: Horner plus Honda equals Aston Martin or MotoGP. So Christian Horner, Ev, you mentioned it earlier. Ex-Red Bull team principal. He's not had a quiet year, but during the break, he was photographed at the MotoGP in Jerez alongside Koji Watanabe, the CEO of Honda Racing. Now, as our listeners know, Honda and Aston Martin have a power unit partnership that hasn't been, great, based on all media and the current state of the Aston Martin on the grid. As we know, Horner is out of a job at the top of F1 and is looking for a new gig. Is this the opening act of Horner at Aston Martin, which would be a very specific and absolutely unhinged kind of chaos, given apparently many within Aston Martin have boycotted him, including
and Ralph Schumacher?
Or is this a man who, unable to get back into F1 through the front door, has decided that if he can't be in the paddock, he'll take a seat at the MotoGP instead? Tay, what do you know?
Apparently, he would be the second F1 person to join MotoGP.
Okay.
But I don't know who the first one was. I didn't get that detail.
Obviously didn't work well for him anyway.
Yeah. I think he's just surveying his options. He clearly still wants to be in some sort of motorsport.
He's desperate to be in F1.
Yeah. And, the idea of him being able to own or have a stake in a MotoGP, which is incredibly popular.
Well, now's the time to get into it, right?
Yeah,
because Liberty Media have bought it.
Yeah.
So
that's what he said.
I think he's more looking at MotoGP than this being a relationship into Aston Martin.
Into Aston. Ev, what do you got?
Well, first off, I know it doesn't feel like it, but MotoGP is more popular than Formula 1 in Spain, and it is near
and Italy.
Equal. Yeah, in Italy, near equal to F1 everywhere else in Europe. So
it's not like you're going to the poor product, right? Like it's still
but I don't know if any MotoGP team's going to have the money that Christian Horner, that's not going to be a...
Yeah.
But he might be seeing him writing on the wall of the potential of what it could be.
Yeah, he mentioned that, because they're both under Liberty Media, that was exciting. I don't know if I think he's just being polite.
Let's be honest, Liberty Media, whether or not they say it or not, would love Christian Horner because he's good for...
Yeah, I generally think...
exposure.
Yeah.
But if he were going to Aston Martin, even if he is too toxic at the moment to announce, let's say you sign him in secret and say, well, look, you're a bit hot now. Yeah, next year we'll announce you.
It doesn't bode well if they're offering that to Lambiase, though. Like, if that's true and they offered that, I mean, Christian's so far down the pecking order.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it was Christian. Like, it's a bit like showing up with, I don't know, your ex-girlfriend's sister to make her jealous or something. Like he's showing up at the other Honda.
Yeah.
Who's also successful.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Honda?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It's funny though. He doesn't seem to be, I mean, I don't know what he's like behind closed doors, but remember at the opening at the O2 last year and everyone booed him.
And he got booed him.
He must have the thickest skin. He obviously doesn't mind playing the villain and being disliked. It doesn't.
He knows his role.
Dissuade him. All right. Headline number 3, Lando wins the Laureus. So the Laureus World Sports Awards, sometimes called the Oscars of sport. So last month, Lando Norris won the Laureus World Breakthrough Award for his 25 Formula One World Championship. He's only the 3rd Brit, and he's only the 6th F1 racing driver ever to win the award. To note, our very own Danny Rick actually won it in 2015.
What does the award represent?
The Breakthrough Award. So kind of like a superstar that's come out of nowhere, maybe. I don't know if you're trying to trip me up. I kind of this question's going to go well for me. We could probably skip this one real quick. But look, it wasn't the Sportsman of the Year award, which I'm not undermining it. That went to the tennis superstar Carlos Alcaraz. It's fair to say that there is still a meaningful corner of the sporting internet that refers to him as the nearly man, as if the world title was a fluke, as if the pace hasn't been elite level for seasons running. So gents, acknowledging that Lewis won this in his first year in F1, and then actually Lewis went on to win Athlete of the Year in 2020. At the end of the day, is this a sign that the rest of the world is actually catching up with the incredible achievements of Lando?
It's really hard to know, with award shows and award like these sort of things, whether or not it's for legit merit or if it's just because it's trendy.
What, to give it to Lando?
Well, yeah, because he was, he's British and he's, the world champion. I don't know. I don't know.
Your bias for Lando Norris is Digby's not here, so we probably won't get it double barreled. But it's like you guys you'd never want to credit him with any form of achievement.
Well, it's hard. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's not go down that rabbit hole. But so in answer to that, Tay, is the world catching up with the incredible achievement of Lando? You're saying no, it's a participation trophy. Ev, what have you got?
I think
that's to simplify it.
And we've got it this year. You'll never believe this, but I can reference the Premier League. We've got Arsenal nearly winning, and yet they can't beat the best team in the league, which is Man City. You can't be a champion unless you beat a champion.
Best.
And
Lando did.
No, he didn't. He never overtook anybody. He never fought anyone.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
And every time someone came up behind him, they overtook him.
Why is that different to what Lewis did for 7 years?
It probably isn't all that new for.
Okay, all right, okay, got him.
In all seriousness,
no, well done. I appreciate the honesty.
Maybe at the beginning, but not by the end of his.
Headline number 4: F1's Madrid race is on, and Korea has entered the conversation. So 2 calendar stories, both in the same breath, because they've both been in the spotlight the last week. First off, Madrid, the Madrid circuit. It is happening, gents. It is confirmed after huge concerns. It was well off track. I don't know if you saw the photos doing the rounds. It was still a fucking just dirt pit. There have been great concerns that it won't be ready. The circuit, which is a purpose-built track in the south of the Spanish capital, is scheduled to host its first Grand Prix this September.
Woodstock 99.
Second, South Korea. So Incheon has submitted a proposal for a street circuit that would join the calendar from 2028. South Korea last hosted F1 at the Korean International Circuit. Not even going to try and pronounce that. It was a track that was abandoned in 2013.
You've pronounced everything else incorrectly so far.
Okay, fine.
Who we offended? Who we not offending?
Yonggam. There you go. I can say it another 10 times.
Imagine if there was a way
that
you could have it repeated back to you.
Yeah. So it was abandoned in 2013 after 3 underwhelming races, and it's sat empty since. Boys, the F1 calendar already has 22 rounds in it. Well, 24 if you count the fact that 2 have been cancelled this year. Maybe will reappear at the end of the year. The question that I want a genuinely forced answer on: is there anywhere left on Earth that Formula One should not go? And if you had to cut one race from the calendar and make room from South Korea, what is it? 30 seconds, Tay. Give me your rundown.
Get rid of Vegas.
Whoa! Really?
Yeah. And
our very own American. There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I think they did it poorly.
Yeah, one of the.
If he says Miami after everything he said at the top of this episode,
I know, right?
One of the Middle East races. There's like 3 Middle East races. We kind of need 3.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Actually, what do we got these days? You got Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Azerbaijan, Abu Dhabi, Qatar. There's actually 5.
Yeah, you don't.
I didn't really put Azerbaijan in there, but yeah.
Well,
and if you've got China, dominating the viewership, then put one in. Take one out of the Middle East, put one in Hong Kong,
All right, 4 headlines, an attempt at 30 seconds each, and somehow we have managed to cover Lando Norris still being underrated, Lance Stroll being penalised in different series, Christian Horner pining for a MotoGP gig, and F1 running out of places to put new races, which is a good summary of where the sport is in as of April 2026. And with that, it's a wrap on today's episode, and it is time to say goodbye. Sing that for me, Sarah Brightman.
So
A big thanks to my fellow idiots after 4 weeks of nothing. 4 weeks of voice notes, group chat chaos, and watching GT3 racing. It is deeply good to be back here doing this thing together. We caught up on 4 weeks of F1, the reg changes, Max's running commentary, and his own potential retirement. You've got Lambiase's bombshell that is still being processed by most of the people in the paddock. We've previewed Miami, the circuit, the storylines, the standings, and we put our predictions firmly and publicly on record in a way that will absolutely come back to haunt us in at least 1 week. We did the quiz. Tay, well done. Unbelievable. It's about fucking time. About time. Now, by the time you're hearing this, it is Thursday at the very earliest, the 30th of April, which means the Miami Grand Prix weekend is upon us. Practice and sprint quali on Friday, sprint race and full quali on Saturday, and the Grand Prix on Sunday. Really awful time zones for those in the Southern Hemisphere.
Not for me.
We will be back next week with the full Miami review, predictions settled, score updates, and chaos documented. But before we go, if you are new here and this is your first episode, welcome. We'd love to have you back. The best thing you can do right now, and it costs you nothing, is subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast, leave us a review, and tell one human being you know who likes F1 that this show exists. And if you're a returning listener, you already know. Thank you, genuinely, 4 seasons of this and you're still here. Either you love it or you have a problem, and either way, we appreciate you. Stay idiotic and see you next week. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.